this theme, this subject with Abdel Lissa. I am from Imbria and also head of the tribe team. Abdel Lissa is a researcher at the L2S of Central Superlake. So the subject of this team of Comex is distributed network. And why distributed network? Because nowadays distributed network has obtained again, let's say, his momentum. And after a long period where centralized networks like large and big cloud centers have attracted a lot of effort and focus of the community, now we have again distributed networks are having and are taking a lot of attention. And the talk of Merwan Deba this morning was an example of that. Distributed, the word distributed appears many times on his presentation. So why this happened right now? For two reasons, mainly energy consumption. So we, in the internet, by 2030, we have, it is forecasted that the internet and cloud, mainly because of the cloud computing, will consume 13% of the worldwide electricity. And this is a lot. So this motivates the fact that centralized, we cannot continue to do only centralized, we have to distribute. And when we say distribute, we say distribute in terms the computing and distribute the storage. This would be one reason. The other reason is also delay. In order to guarantee lower delay, we need to bring a resource close to the user. And there was a very nice sentence on the Merwan Deba this morning, was the need to move compute to where the data is and not move data to where the computer is. So this also calls for the distribution. The other main reason why distributed is coming back again is the deployment now that is real of 5G networks. So 5G promise a lot of very nice service and a lot of application, but it is also promise ultra low latencies, a lot of managing much closer than the users and more personalized service with these slices. So to be able to give to the users all the paradise, let's say, all the dreams that 5G is now promising, we need again distributed control, distributed management in the networks. So this is the reason why we are really motivated by the distributed networks. And this is why Abdel and myself, we thought about the general guidelines that would guide, let's say, this team. And when you talk about distributed, you also talk about moving computing and the storage capability from the central clouds to the edge of the internet. So 5G also will be a very strong technology and very important for the deployment of mobile edge computing, which is not a new subject, but has not by now got the killer application, let's say, that will allow real deployment. 5G will give us this. 5G will allow us to have very quick communication between users and the place where storing and computing capabilities are stored. So, but the issue with mobile edge computing is that closer we are to the user, more affected we are by this user too. So another issue is that the internet has become mobile. And has become mobile because users are more and more connected to the internet through mobile devices, and has become mobile because technology has allowed us to connect, to access internet almost everywhere and almost anytime. When I say almost, it's just because this reality is not the same in all countries in the world. But so we have to deal with mobility. We had to deal with heterogeneity and uncertainty of these users. And more we are close to the users, more distributed we are, more we are affected by the heterogeneity and by the uncertainty of these users. So this causes a lot of problem on the way resources will be allocated on the edge of the internet. This causes a lot of challenges in terms of how to be personalized and how to take into account the real needs of the users in 5G and 6G networks. It is very important to mention here that there is a lot of specification on 5G networks considering radio specifications, but very few recommendations is still stabilized for everything that concerns higher levels of these networks. It means how mobility will be managed. This is mobility in 5G is still on demand and signaling management. There is no anticipation foreseen on how anticipation mobility can be done. So this is axes that are still issues that are open and very important in the context of 5G. 6G papers, including number one debate papers, already mentioned this need for AI on the edge of the networks, and also mainly to anticipate behavior of the users. So tactile internet is another guide. It's the third guideline here. Why tactile internet? Why? Because exactly is the internet that will provide all these X reality applications that 5G is, let's say, selling. But it's the internet that includes not only Internet of Things, Industry 4.0, but also requires all the communication capabilities 5G is promising, like ultra low latencies, like very high capacity, and so on. So related to these three axes, we detailed the topics that could be of interest and that are related to these guidelines. So the first one is radio access resource allocation under uncertainty with high mobility and guaranteed quality of service. So these are concerning the mathematical modeling and the stochastic optimization models that will give uncertainty. I would like you see that uncertainty appears many times, and this is exactly because not only we have uncertainty caused by the behavior of the users, but also we have a lot of uncertainty caused by the variance of contexts the user is emerged in. So the thing is that the inverse resource allocation problems currently used in practice parameters that are deterministics, and this is not the case anymore. We have to deal with parameters that are not known in advance. So not knowing in advance also ask for learning and also ask for anticipation. And by anticipating or by learning, we will be able to deal with uncertainty and the risks. These uncertainties risks will then be modeled in stochastic optimization problems. The other hot topic related to the guidelines I have presented in the previous slide is the fact of exploring synergies of stochastic games and mobile edge compute in case of incomplete information. So again, you see here this includes, of course, privacy, compliance, learning, cooperation, uncertainty, and social connections. So again, the uncertainty appears, and it is important to mention the privacy, compliance, learning. What we mean by that is the fact that learning is required, of course. AI is there and will be implemented and very strongly required in the new solutions. But learning very often also require global knowledge and a lot of data collection and mining. So on this context where you have to collect the data, to mine, to learn, and then leverage this knowledge, we also need to keep in mind the privacy and how to deal with all this collection, learning, and knowledge extraction while being privacy compliance. And this is valid on any subject, communication or protocols related. So the next axis is the analysis of a realistic scenario where AI and MEC have positive synergies. So this will include IoT, it's not mentioned here, but also autonomous vehicles, Industry 4.0, and this will deal with constraints and requirements related to energy consumption, energy harvesting, also the different types of communication, also allowed by 5G as D2D, the requirement to have small cells and better facilitate the management of the networks, heterogeneous access, and mobile social networks. The next axis is related to robust optimization done in a distributed way to capture the randomness of the harvest energy in 5G networks while privacy conscious. So here again, uncertainty appears, and not only in terms of user behavior, but also in terms of context and demand of these users. And again, the goal would be to decrease energy cost of mobile network operators. The next axis will be privacy-aware dynamic reconfiguration of slices. So here the focus, even if this is not a theme or subject of Comex related to privacy, privacy is an issue very important nowadays, even now, especially for the ones who deal with distributed network, distributed protocols, distributed communication, exactly because while when we talk to distributed, the solutions maybe become more complex because we have access to less information compared to a centralized control where we may have a global view of the network. In distributed, we have more often and a local view of the network, and this is also very interesting for privacy preserving, because by distributing we avoid to have our data and the data of our users centralized on a unique point. So what is also a weakness in the infrastructure for an attack. So once an attacker can attack a cloud, a large cloud, it gets a huge amount of information from different users, while in the distributed, the fact that we are distributing information limits this amount of information that will be leaked. So here in the privacy-aware dynamic reconfiguration of the slides, it includes the scheduling, multiplexing of heterogeneous service in 5G and beyond the networks, mobile edge computing, fog computing for IoT servers. So the next is distributed solutions for 5G enabled tactile internet, and it's related to the third guidelines I mentioned in the previous slides concerning different applications like systems that are real-time interaction related, IoT, Industry 4.5, intelligent and mobility-aware edge computing. So again, as I said in the previous slide, a huge challenge with the mobile edge computing now is that we have the technology that we allow to do mobile edge computing in a distributed way, that is the 5G, but it's still close to the user, more affected we are. So how resource allocation should be managed in an intelligent way, that resources will not be lost and energy consumption will be kept low. So for this, we need to anticipate behaviors of the users, and when I say behavior, it's demand, it's mobility, it's interest, and also it may be very related to the context of the users. Finally, to finish, so these are the interested parts in the campus that could be very interested by this distributed network subject. And we mentioned INRIA, Central Supélec, COA, Telecom Paris Tech, Sud Paris, UP Sud, and Investa. The main actors of Paris-Saclay and IPP. So I thank you very much for your attention,